That is usually the biggest problem I have is to remember to start the recording. So I would love to know what your biggest takeaway. We are going to do a quick recap from yesterday. And also we have all the implementations, the importance of finding the right type of lawn. Absolutely. And that sometimes can be more harder than it actually is. And sometimes we actually need to run an event to feel, was this the right thing for me or not, right? Signature events and doing the reps. We have that I have to run my event to fit my target audience specifically. Absolutely. I can do this. And that is a huge takeaway, Elizabeth, right? And I'm actually going to start with that. So it's kind of fun that you actually wrote that. Because first of all, I'm excited to have you all here live for session number 2. And if you missed session number 1 or the pre-training, you can watch them on the replay page. You don't need to have watched those two to be able to keep up with today's content, so don't worry about that. That the event is the bridge between the problem and the offer. That is one important aspect, right? That a lot of people don't speak about. That the event is actually like a bridge between your audience over here and into your offer. So I love all these takeaways. That means that we learned a lot and we took some valuable steps yesterday. So if you haven't watched the replays, you can go back and do that. But there was a couple of things, and it's connected to Elizabeth's comment there that I wanted to kind of cover that I thought about after yesterday's session. I know when I talk about this, that a lot of fear or it feels scary to do virtual events. A lot of emotions usually comes up. And I just want you to understand that you can do this and you are ready. Because being ready, I usually say being ready is a complete lie because you will never be ready, right? If we are going to wait until something is perfect or something is ready, we will wait forever because there is no such thing as I am ready. You are ready now. And when I did my events, my first events, when I started out, I was living in a truck, right? I used my phone. I didn't have the laptop with me, so I used the phone on a tripod. And you don't need more than that. You can actually run this from a mobile phone. You don't need to actually even have a laptop to do this. And when I quit my job as a truck driver, I was traveling a lot because that is one of the reasons why I started my business was that I wanted to travel a lot, right? So I lived in Airbnbs with sometimes the background, you could kind of ask for a little bit more, right? But it was what it was, right? And I used a laptop. And I actually used the camera I had on the laptop because I traveled so much. I didn't want to have any type of camera or thing. And I only had a little ring light that I put onto the laptop, onto the screen. That's all. That's all that I had. And you don't need anything else. You don't need to, I mean, people are not going to lean in and listen more just because you spend $500 on a camera. They're not going to do that, right? They're not going to lean in and follow you and see you more as the leader just because you buy a lot of expensive stuff. Because that is one of the things that I see that people think that they need to have all these things before they can do this. And I want you to understand that you don't. And before we used Zoom, and Zoom is something I started to use and invite people to a Zoom room in 2020. Before that, I used Facebook Live. I didn't do Zoom. I did Facebook Live. And I did them from the truck cabin, and I can share with you, I looked like crap. I sometimes didn't even have a shower. I had grease in my hair. And back then, I mean, Facebook Live, they didn't have any filters. I mean, I showed up the way that I looked. And my truck cabin, the background, was turquoise. It was turquoise like, I don't even have any turquoise. And it had pinup girls. It was decorated with a huge pinup girls. And that is what my audience saw when they joined me. But they didn't care because it's not about that, right? It's about your convictions. It's about your beliefs. It's about your energy and how you lead people and how you inspire people. Okay. Now more than ever, I would say that it's actually that because People buy from people. Don't ever forget that people buy from people because they already bought all the other stuff, okay? People will take out their hardworking cash and hand it over to you because they trust you. And they're going to invest in themselves and they're going to say to you, you are going to lead me, okay? And a $500 camera is not going to do that. You are going to do that. Your energy, your leadership, your knowledge, okay? So remember that you are ready. And I mean, I want to inspire everyone that and make you understand that you can do this from your little corner on the internet without being perfect, without having all this stuff. So why would I want to try to be perfect? I don't know what even that means. I am now, for an example, as you hear, my first language isn't English. I'm from Sweden. I live in Sicily. But I'm in Sweden right now, so I'm visiting my sisters. So that is where I am today. And that is my life. I love to travel. I love to see new things. And I don't thrive for perfect. And I want to inspire you that you can do this without that. Okay. And that is what today is all about. And that ties back to Elizabeth's comment about that I can do this. And you can. Okay. You can do this. Everyone, all of you, every single one of you can do this. Okay. So I hope that it feels better because I know a lot of things comes up, a lot of emotions. And we also have a gift. So after today's training, Josephine is going to share the link. It's a guide with 50 ways of promoting your event. Absolutely do not use 50. Pick 2 or 3. It's the same thing here. It's way better to master a couple of lead generation strategies, 2, 3 lead generation strategies, than try to do too many and get totally exhausted. Okay, so we have, for an example, I use 4 lead generation strategies to fill my event. That's it. But I still have the 50 in that guide. So I'm going to share that. Josephine is going to share that later. So first, I just wanted to recap a little bit what we did yesterday, because I know it was a lot that we covered yesterday. So we talked about in the pre-session about that you need be able to grow and scale. We need new people, lead generation. We need to build trust, and we need to convert those people into sales, right? I know that every one of you are amazing at helping people, right? You are amazing at helping people. But I want to tell you that to be able to be a great coach today or a great service provider, it requires more than being a great service provider. You also need to be a great business person, because if we don't sell, there is no one to get those amazing results for, right? And sales, we're going to dig more deep into sales tomorrow. But we also talked about that a virtual event is going to do these 3 things for you: lead generation, lead nurturing, building trust, and lead conversion, all in one go. So that is why virtual events is so good to run, especially in the beginning, because it's going to grow your list and grow your audience and do all these things at once. Okay. We also talk a little bit about it builds trust very fast. It creates that category of one brand that we are going to talk more about today when you're going to pick your topic. It's going to grow and engage audience, an audience that actually makes sense. Okay, so we don't build a huge audience and make no money because it's the wrong people. And it's going to save you a massive amount of time because it do so many things in once, and it's a copy and paste process. Because when you have built this out once, a signature event, you're going to run it in cycles. You're going to do the same thing again and again and again. That means it's a copy and paste process. And it's also really good to validate ideas. If you have an idea, throw up an event, run it, check it out. Do people buy this or don't they buy this, right? Because it's not a huge thing to put together, okay? We also talked about how we need to listen, understand, and operate in our dream clients' reality and meet the need of our audience, to be able to listen and be able to understand what are the needs at the moment, not 6 months ago, at the moment now. That is why this is so good, because it's a two-way communication here. I can ask you things, you can ask me things. I learn from you, you learn from me. Because this is how I get to know what do you need. That is why I have asked you so many questions in the group, right? And in the DMs. So the more I know, the more I can meet your urgent need, because it's live. It's live, it's here. Okay. And something that we talked about is that buyers today are way smarter, right? They have less disposable income. There is a lot of noise going on online, a lot of screaming and shouting, because there is no entry level for anyone to go online, put up a bio, claim to be an expert, and do and sell exactly what you do. No entry level. And now, thanks to AI, those can also sound like experts. And that has created a lot of noise and a lot of distrust, right? People really don't know what to trust. And they're more skeptical than they were before, because they already bought the hype. And that is why it's so important to listen and understand and be in their reality, because that is the reality that people actually are living in. Okay. And then we moved into filling your event with the right people, not just any people, people that need and want what you have to offer. Okay. We talked about the front end. Before we do any type of lead generation, we need to be clear with our messaging, knowing who we want to invite to our event, who is the perfect participant. So we don't invite the cat people to the dog stuff, for an example, right? And to accomplish that, we need clarity. And we talked about how everything actually starts with clarity. And that clarity is who the event is for, what is the result that they are going to get, and what is the problem that you are going to solve with your event. And we're going to talk more about that kind of content today. And when we are as clear as we possibly can with that, we need to stay consistent and frequent. Okay, in that messaging, in who we help, what we do. So you also give people a chance to actually get to like, know, and trust you. Because if you change all the time, you will never ever be able to build a category of one brand. And that is what you want. You want to claim your space. You want to be that expert. You want to be the person they think about when they think about, I don't know, let's say weight loss in menopause, because that is my old niche. I wanted to be the person people thought about when they heard someone need that or they needed it themselves, right? And the last thing we kind of shared about was that the offer needs to be aligned with those people, right? Because sometimes we can actually see people run event on a very popular topic. I would say a year ago, the amount of AI event was huge because people signed up for those. And then they sold some business coaching where there was maybe a little AI inside, and it makes no sense. So you want to have people hear the offer and a perfect alignment. Okay. And then we talked a little bit about, and this is something we work a lot inside the Launch Academy, is lead generation. And we also talked about that the mindset around lead generation, that it's not pushy, it's not annoying, it's not desperate, it's a gift to your market. Okay. And you're inviting people kind of from a space of struggle to a space of possibility, right? A future. And that is being of service. That's leadership, actually. But I also said that your energy to hand out those invitations should match the energy of the expectations that you have, what your event is going to do for you, right? So lead generation is lifeblood. Without that, we can't survive. The business can't survive. We can almost say that the visibility is the fuel, because that is what's going to help drive the lead generation. If we never create visibility, new people coming in, you're not going to have anyone to do lead generation for, right? And then we closed with 2 things, or maybe 3 things, to get people to actually show up. We talked a little bit about nurturing, like all these emails and connect with people. Absolutely, you should do that. But we also talked about 2 other things: the right event for your audience and running the reps. Okay. And that is sometimes easier said than done, but that is something I really want you to commit to. But I'm going to just say this. Your first event is not going to be perfect. Your 10th event is not going to be perfect. It will actually never be perfect. But when you run the reps, you move from being scared and show up from a place of fear to start becoming really structured. And then you grow in confidence, right? Because when we do something over and over, our confidence grows, right? And then we show up more confident for our audience. And that is going to turn into be able to show up with full conviction and leadership. And that doesn't happen the first time. So I really want you to commit to running the reps. Okay. So we're going to come back to that, Gail, when we talk about the cycles. Okay. I am a gift to my target market. I love that. And you are. All of you are. You are a gift. What you do is a gift to people. You are a service provider. What we actually do is a gift to people. And then we had some implementation. Decide what you're going to sell and think about what event you're going to run. We're going to talk more about that today. And who is your perfect participant? Who is that perfect person? And today is going to build on that. Okay. I usually say, and write this down, a virtual event is an invitation with a deadline. Because you run your event, you invite people, you run it, you start selling, and you close it down. So it's actually an invitation to come and join me with a deadline. And it's also going to build your dream client for you. And what I mean with that is that the people that are the right fit for you, they're going to stay. And the people that are not, they're going to leave. And that is a good thing. Because you don't want to grow an audience of people that don't want to work with you. And the ones that don't believe after being here with me 3 days that, oh my God, I don't want to run events ever. Your content, your event, those should repel those people so you can invite more of the people that wants to follow you, the way that you do things. Because you are not for everyone and everyone is not for you. And that is the way it should be, right? So a cycle, now when we come into to the cycle, looks like the runway. We talked about that yesterday. This is where we kind of start, go out, create visibility. So we make sure that people actually sees us and we start inviting people. We start connecting with those people that have registered. Then we move into the next step, and that is the time we run the event. It can be a day, it can be a week, right? Depending on how it looks like. But we usually say launch week because it's easy. So, but it might be a webinar that runs on a Monday. So it might not going to be a week, but it's the launch in itself, the event in itself. Then you start inviting people to join your program. So you go into the sales process, and I call them days of selling. That is where you open the cart and you continue to invite people for X amount of day. And then you close down the cart, or you remove the bonuses, however that you want to do, the deadline. And then you do maybe some following up that is usually happening afterwards. And then you do an entire reset of that cycle. That is a cycle. Then you just start over. Boosting your visibility, lead generation, running your event, selling, close down, reset, go back to the beginning. This is exactly what I did, and only that with my fitness business. I did 0 sales between my events. It wasn't because I didn't want to, I didn't know how to. I only sold with events, nothing else. And that is pretty much what I do today as well, right? Because I love this. I thrive on this. I could be here live for 9 days, but you would be tired of me, but I could. I won't, but I could, right? But I didn't do any sales between because I didn't know how to do sales between launches. That was the fact. But it's an entire copy and paste. So everything you create after the event, you just go back and you identify segments for improvement. Then you just run it again. Everything the same. Emails, you might change the title, but you run the same emails, the same landing pages, the same everything, which means that you build it once and you run it again and again and again. That is why it's such a time saver. Okay. And depending on the length of your event, right, and what you are going to kind of offer, it's going to be longer and shorter. So I can't tell you. That is something inside the Launch Academy for you who join. We can talk about together, because it can look different depending on if you run a 35-minute webinar selling something that is $97, or if you want to run a 9-day live launch selling something that is $25,000. These are two very different cycles, right? So there is no kind of, yeah, this is it. So it can be longer and it can be shorter. And that also comes back to the question, because if you could do pretty much one cycle every month, right? Usually when we look at it, most people, I could say maybe do 6 to 8 per year, right? In my fitness business, up until 2020, I did them monthly without any stop. I did one 5-day challenge, followed up with a webinar, then I just started over. And I just run like this every month. So I did that. You can do that. Or you can have some time between, okay? And that is also something that can be very individual. And it's also usually depends on how big of an event that you actually run. Because if you do a 9-day launch with maybe 3 weeks of lead generation and 1 week of following up, taking a lot of calls, I would say running that every month would be exhausting. Right? So maybe then 6 to 8 times a year. If you do a smaller masterclass webinar, that you do maybe 10 days inviting people, you could easily run them every month. So it's a little bit depending, okay? But that is usually how a cycle kind of looks like. So your event have 3 big parts. Your content have 3 big things that I want you to write in the comments. So you are going to run one event and you're going to lead people kind of through a progression of content that is going to kind of create a breakthrough where you make them understand what they did in the past didn't work, what they need to do instead, and they understand how to solve the problem, and that is with your offer. So you're going to lead people. So it has 3 kind of stages. You're serving your audience. So write that down, serving your audience, because you will teach something. I'm going to come back to that. So you're serving your audience, you'll teach something, you're solving some kind of problem that they have. So you're solving a problem or many problems, but usually one problem, and you are inviting people. So you serve, solve, invite. That is pretty much what an event is. Serving your audience, solving a problem, and inviting people to take the next step. It sounds simple, right? And it actually is. But it's 3 really good words to use when you think about creating your content, that you are going to serve your audience, you're going to solve some kind of problem. Otherwise, it's going to be, I don't know, nobody's going to sign up probably, right? And you need to invite people to something, right? You need to invite them to take the next step. So if you have the workbook, take out the workbook, and we're going to jump into today's page. And as you see, I think it's page 7 or something like that. There is kind of an implementation page that where you put the event more together. But we go back to day 2. If you don't have the workbook, don't worry, you can download it on the replay page, because I'm not sharing the link. I don't want that distraction. So then you take pen and paper and you download the workbook and you just fill it out. Okay. And on page 7, I think it's page 7, you can, all the implementation steps is going to fill out that page for you throughout these days. Okay. The first thing the workbook is going to say, and make sure all the questions in the chat. Okay, and I will answer as many as possible. Some I might answer tomorrow. I do have added in your calendar, if you subscribe to the calendar, Q&A on Thursday. I was supposed to run it inside of the community only, but I am going to do it on Zoom. So then you can join when you have done all the implementation. If any other questions comes up, you can ask them in the side of the group, of course. But you can also come and join me live. So I've added that. But make sure today, all questions, so we don't miss anything. I don't want you to leave not knowing what's next or what to do, okay? Then you're not going to do anything. And that's not what I want for you. So the first thing is claim and frame to position. So what does that even mean? I know it sounds strange. So yesterday we talked a little bit about what event you would like to do. Okay? What event would you like to do? A couple of people have shared in the community, but even if you're not sure, just think about, I think I might want to do this one. We talked about what are you going to sell. Okay? So with that, we can actually put the event in the calendar, because we now know what event we want to do and what we are going to sell. So we can kind of put it inside of the calendar. But when it comes to different types, First of all, I have 3 questions I want you to answer. The number one, what event would you like to do? That is the number one thing that you need to do. Because if you pick something that you don't want to do, you already now say that I don't want to do a 5-day challenge, but everyone says I need to, I'm going to do it. The energy of that 5-day challenge is going to suck. I'm just going to say it, because you do not want to be there. And that energy is going to show out right through the camera. So what do you want to do? And you might have several options. You might never done an event, so you have no idea, right? Then I would say a shorter event is going to be able to hold energy way easily than a longer event, because there is a skill set to run 9-day live launches, because you need to have high energy 9 days in a row. And not everyone have the skill set for that yet, because we haven't done it, right? So if you have never done it, maybe pick a shorter one, but you don't have to. But what would you like to do? The second question that you should ask yourself, what is the best event for my audience? We talked yesterday about that. So that is the second question. And the third thing is, what are you going to sell and how are you going to sell it? Because you can do a one session, a webinar masterclass style, 30 minutes to 90 minutes, for an example, 2 hours even, right? You can do a 2-day, you can do a 3-day, you can do a 5-day, you can do a 9-day, right? There is a lot of options. But the thing is that everything sells because of trust. So if you do a 30-minute webinar and you sell a high ticket offer that is, I don't know, $10,000, you will need to do calls. There is very few people in today's market, if we haven't built that trust yet, that is going to trust you enough to click and buy $10,000 after spending 30 minutes with you, if they have never seen you before. They would like to book a call. If we look at the other way around, running a 9-day live launch and selling something that is $97, it's not the best spent time, right? Then you would probably do the 30 minutes because they can click and buy. So you want to ask yourself also the third questions. What are you selling and how are you selling it? Is it on calls? It is going to be click and buy. Because if you have a $25,000 offer on a click and buy, I would say if you don't want to do any calls, you would need to do a longer event. So you have some days to build the like, know, and trust. Does that make sense for everyone? I would just like to know if it makes sense. Headsets. Does it make sense for everyone? The trust. Perfect. Yes. So I just want, because can sometimes be that we can see a lot, that we want to sell, we want to do a 5-day live launch and we sell a $17 offer. It makes no sense, right? So, and in the Launch Academy, we do all that. We talk about that. A lot of yeses. Perfect. And we decide together what event you want to do, but ultimate, it's your business, right? You decide what event that you want to do. And then we also do all this, what is the best time, the days and all of that. But in this workshop, we're going to focus on the type. So when you know what you're going to sell, you pick the type of your event. The next thing that you're going to pick is the topic. And this topic is going to be yours. You're going to claim this on the market. It's yours. My events, what topic are my events? About running events, right? But you're going to pick a topic. This is the topic that you are going to be known for in the market. You're going to claim it. It's going to be yours. And this is what's going to help you build the category of one. And one thing that I want to mention when it comes to category of one, this is not how you see yourself compared to other people. Because then there could only be one. There can only be one expert of everything. And everybody else, they are like this. So it's not how you compare yourself to someone that do what you do, okay? There's a lot of people teaching how to do virtual events. And it's not how I see myself compared to them. It's in the eye of the beholder. The people that look into your brand. That is the person that you want to be the category of one of. And that has nothing to do with the size of the audience or the amount of years that you have spent doing something. Okay. It's about how people see you, how they see how you show up, how you lead people. It has nothing to do with something else, okay? 2,500, they usually say that you could run a webinar and click and buy. It depends on if the audience trusts you enough to do that. I love the 3-day format, of course. That is my type. If you want to do calls for that, you can easily run a webinar for $2,500 offer. It has to do with the trust you have from your audience, right? And if you are starting out and your audience is pretty cold, they don't know, like, no, and trust you, they haven't followed you along, they will need more than an hour to click and buy 2,500. I would say that. Then maybe a 2-3 day would be a perfect fit. Okay. So you claim something, and this can be like sales with virtual events. That is my topic. It can be weight loss in menopause. It's the overall topic. I'm not talking about a specific small little segment here. I'm talking about the overall topic that you want to be known for in the market. It can be audience growth on LinkedIn. Josephine, for an example, works with that, audience growth on LinkedIn. It can be sales page copy writing. That is your what you want to claim. Ghostwriting, maybe. It's the overall topic that you want to claim. And your event is going to be in that topic, right? We're not going to run an event that is outside of that topic. Makes no sense. So that is the first thing. The second thing, tangible enough to draw attention. Don't pick a topic that is boring. I could run an event about knowing your numbers because it's very important, but it's boring. Who would sign up learning how to know your numbers in an event? It just makes no sense. Nobody's gonna sign up for that. It needs to be juicy enough to draw attention, something people actually want to know about or learn about or lean into, right? And it needs to be relevant for your offer. The topic shouldn't be outside of your offer, right? If your offer is about, for an example, ghostwriting, your event should be about ghostwriting. It shouldn't be about AI or weight loss. It needs to be relevant for your offer because, as we said, one of the biggest takeaways from yesterday, your event is the bridge between your people here and your offer over here, okay? The topic you pick needs to be easy for you to teach. You might have something that is very tangible, but it's very hard for you to teach, to talk about, to explain. Don't pick it. Pick something else. Because you're going to stumble on everything, and it's going to be complicated, and it's going to be very hard to understand for the audience. And I would say that this is not a big problem, but I have seen it when it comes to very techy webinars and things like that, that it's just too complicated to be able to run as an event. Okay. So that is the first thing. You pick your topic, overall topic. And then we're going to touch this a little bit, titles, but I'm not going to go too deep because this is a rabbit hole. I don't know how many of you have spent hours renaming or thinking about renaming your stuff because you think that is why it doesn't convert, right? But I have a couple of tips for you to name your event, to have a title. Number one, it has got to be clear and concise, okay? Everyone wants clever and maybe a little bit sizzle, right? In their title, but always choose clear over clever always. Because you don't want anyone to spend more than seconds to understand what your event is about. Because as soon as they don't get it, what do? They leave. Okay, so it's way better to have a boring, simple title than to try to come up with something cool. And we can come up with something cool when our name is, we are as big as Russell Brunson, maybe. We could name it whatever. People would still sign up. We are not there. It needs to be very clear, okay? Do not get stuck here, okay? Choose your overall topic. Choose a title of your event that is clear and simple. Then you just go with that. Because this is a rabbit hole. People spend hours trying to create a cool title and a subtitle. And the more we try to overthink that, the more complicated we makes the title. And then we look at everybody else and they have so cool titles. Well, you have no idea if they have any leads, do you? Right? So make sure you pick, I know this is named Launch Revolution, for example. Use the power of virtual events to sell your offers and scale your business with simplicity. Sounds boring, but it's pretty clear what I'm going to talk about. Virtual events, sales. It's not something else. And inside the Launch Academy, we have, I think it's 100 titles in a spreadsheet that is proven to work, that some of our clients kind of pick from and make their own. Okay, so that is kind of all that I wanted to mention on titles, because it's a hole that you can dig yourself. I don't know. So don't get stuck there. Okay. So you have your topic, you have your what you're going to claim, you have started to creating your title, and then you have the content pillars. This is kind of what you are going to teach. And this is your structure. This is what you're going to teach across the event. Okay, this is where you start kind of mastering the speak from your heart in a very structured way. Because if you skip to put it in pillars, so you don't have any kind of steps inside, you are going to be all over the place and the audience are not going to be able to follow. Okay, so even if you might feel like, yeah, but I can run it like this, you still want to have it in kind of chunks like this. Okay, and it should be split into kind of small, more focused chunks. I don't know if that is a word, small bits or days. Because if you run a multiple day, every day is a kind of a pillar, right? And every day is going to be put into pillars. This is how you create structure, both for yourself, but also for your audience. So you're just going to decide how many kind of 1, 2, 3 are you going to have. This one, as you see in the workbook, you can look at this. Look in the workbook. There is every page have 3 things that I go through, and I have 3 days. So I have 3 days and it's split into 3 every day. You don't have to have that. You can have whatever you want, but that is how I have done it. So for an example, if we're going to do this event, how to run an event. Day 1, fill your event with ease. I talk about maybe visibility, messaging, and lead generation strategies. Day 2, create the content. I could talk about clarity, confidence, or conversions. And day 3, maybe sales. I could talk about sales psychology, offer framing, energy, and invitations, right? But I could also run this entire 3-day splitting down how to fill your event with ease. Because I could do 1 day about messaging, 1 day about audience growth, and 1 day about strategies, right? So you can kind of pick it out, but make sure that you kind of have it structured in chunks, in bits, because it's going to make your event way easier to run, because you are going to stay focused, and it's easier to follow along with the audience. Okay. And it's the same thing here. All of these small pieces of content that you are going to teach need to be easy to teach and easy to understand. Don't go crazy here, because it's gonna, if you pick something that is very complicated to teach, even if you love to teach it, the audience are not going to understand, because there's not enough time to understand it, and it's going to become very complicated. So easy to teach, easy to understand. All these pieces of content that you pick out should help them understand what didn't work in the past and what they need to do instead. Okay, so when you start creating your content throughout these blocks, you need to think about, okay, how can I talk to people or share so they understand that what they did in the past didn't work and what they need to do instead. Okay. It's also the whole idea of actually having content in a very structured way is going to build the like, know, and trust for you and your brand, because you're going to share your knowledge, your expertise, which means you need to teach. If we don't teach anything, we could run on a webinar and just pitch. Right? That shows nothing about my knowledge. that shows nothing about my expertise. If I don't teach anything, nobody knows what I know. It's that simple. You can just look at YouTube. How many go to YouTube to watch a how-to video? I think it's 80, the amount is huge, right? It's 76% of all users or something like that go to YouTube just to learn stuff, which means they go there to watch experts. And that is you in your event. You are the expert. You need to teach something. So we can't kind of skip it. So we're going to come to that. We are not really there yet. So we're not talking about adding more information. It's about creating mindset shifts. It's about creating awareness breakthroughs and giving the audience small, tangible wins with your expertise, right? So if we just skip all of this and I just would talk 1 hour about the Launch Academy, that would be an info session for the Launch Academy. That is something completely different, right? So you need to have content where you show your expertise, but it's not about adding more information. I could teach you how to stuff, how to write a post. This is how we do, how to do this. This is how we do. That is going to create no transformation at all. You could ask ChatGPT that, right? So even if I teach that this is what you want to have, you want to have content that drives sales. I can't be here to teach you exactly how to do it, because what would happen if I did? First of all, we would be here for 2 months. Second of all, you would be totally overwhelmed. But I want you to understand that this is what I need, and I need it now. This is what have been missing. I can now see why I need to do lead generation. I can now see why it haven't worked, because I've been standing in my own way. That has nothing to do with me sharing exactly how to create an event on LinkedIn and invite people, right? Because that is not how you create a transformation. So that is the difference. You teach, but you teach in a way that drives people, okay? And this is usually where people say, yeah, but what if I give away too much? So here's the thing, you cannot give away too much free stuff, okay? And the content that you share, it's rooted in leadership. But what happens is that you overwhelm people. That is what happens. So when people think that, oh my God, I gave away too much, so they didn't want to buy, that is not true. What happens is that they were totally overwhelmed. So they are just going to say, okay, I just need to try this on my own, because woof, this was just too much, right? I can't do this. You need always to give them a win. So they leave their event with a win before they even click on your link. Because there is no one here, no one that is going to show up to your event and say to you, I learned nothing from you. I don't understand how this can work for me. I don't understand whatever I did in the past didn't work and what I need to do instead. I just don't get it. But here, take my $3,000. I'm in. Who said that? No one, right? No one said that, because the more you value you share, and when I say value, I'm not talking about adding content. I'm talking about the value of your expertise, leading people, showing up. The more you do that, the more of a leader you are. People follow leaders. So don't ever be scared of sharing too much, but you can overwhelm them. It's a fine line to walk on. And I can promise you, you will run events where you overwhelm your audience. So don't worry about that. Everyone do. I do have done that a lot of times, and you can feel it. You feel it when you have overwhelmed people. Okay, exactly. You overwhelm them. And that is usually why people struggle on closing on calls as well. And why we struggle with our events is that we're overwhelmed. And so less is more. Less is absolutely more. If we look at the decision-making kind of content, this is where you kind of teach, but we don't add more information like how-to content. This is where you kind of show up as the leader. You're gonna, in your content, you are going to shift the kind of perspective from having confused people that feel like, I don't know, I don't know what to do. I want this, but I struggle with this, and I'm sitting here totally stuck, from getting clarity to say like, oh yeah, I can actually see this works for me. You kind of want to paint the picture for them so they can look themselves in the future and say, wow, I can actually see if I implement this strategy that I could get this result. I believe so. Okay. Because then your offer is going to be the natural next kind of step. You also wanted to show the gap between what they have tried and what actually worked, right? Because your entire audience out there, they have this problem, whatever that might be, but they still have access to all the information they could possibly get their hands on now more than ever, thanks to ChatGPT, but they are still stuck struggling. They don't have the result that they want, right? Because all that information, if that was enough, we would all have the result that we wanted, but we don't, none of us, right? So there is a gap. What have been missing? And a lot of you maybe are stuck in creating content, posting, try to sell here, try to sell there. And now you can almost see that if I run this, I would generate lead, I would grow my list, I would build like no one trust, I would be able to sell one-to-many. I don't need to have one-to-one sales conversations anymore. I can bulk enroll clients. You can actually see it. That has nothing to do with how to do stuff, the how-to content. So if you think about your content that you teach, it's not kind of a course. It's not a information dump. It's a bridge. I want you to really take that word with you, that it's a bridge. And you want them to believe this can work for me. I can do this. This is what have been missing from my strategy or my life or my relationship, whatever you work in, okay? So ask yourself, what do they need to know to shift their beliefs and see the future with your solution? What do you need to share? What do you need to teach? What do you need to do? What do you need to show up? How do you need to show up to make sure that they know how to shift, or you shift their beliefs to see the future with your solution? That awareness shift, that is huge, right? So what do you need to lead them? What type of things do you need to do in order to lead them into your offer? So that is a good question to kind of ask yourself. What do they need to do, or what do they need to know to shift their beliefs and see the future with your solution? Okay. And then I quickly want to cover the emotional and psychological triggers that you can weave into this. So of course, inside of this, you show up and you share knowledge and you share what they have been missing, what they need to do instead. You shift their beliefs. You make sure that they understand that this can work for them as well. They can see the future. This can be done in different kind of ways, right? One of the things is adding social proof. You share stories. Okay, your stories, client stories, brand stories. What you also want to have inside of this content is urgency. And I'm not talking about fake scarcity urgency. I'm talking about that they need to act now. We can't wait. I shared yesterday that, of course, you want clients now, yesterday, but you don't want them in 6 months from now. We want them now, not 12 months from now. We want them now. There is an urgency here, right? Reciprocity. Add value, because that is going to give you back. Okay. Give genuine insight and value. Don't be scared. Don't hold back here. Okay. Authority. And there's a lot of ways to build authority, and this is rooted in running the reps, one thing, but there's also some other kind of tactics to kind of show up with authority, because that builds credibility and that builds confidence in both yourself but in your audience. And the last one is emotional connection. So those 5 are actually buying triggers or psychological triggers that makes people buy. It's social proof, it's scarcity, urgency, reciprocity, authority, and emotional connection. That is how people buy today. You can weave that inside of your content. And your role is not to be a teacher here. It's to be a leader. And that's why the energy is so important. I usually say it's not so much what you do as it is who you are when you do it. Because if I show up with very bad energy or low energy, I project that to you. If I would lean back and I would lower my voice and I would kind of lower my hands and I would sit here with this energy, you wouldn't lean in. You would do what I did. You would lean back and say, what is this? I'm not going to follow this person. No, you want to lean into people. You want to be a leader, that energy. That is why when we talk tomorrow about sales, it's huge. That is why running the reps is so important, because it might not be that perfect energy the first time, and you might be scared, and you show up a little bit scared, and you show up almost shaking, right? And that is totally fine, because that is where we all starts. Okay, but the energy you project is the energy you get back. And that is why live events is so transformation. It's so huge. I don't know what the English word is actually. It grows such a transformation in the audience, because there is a difference between the energy and a live event where you can do things live and they can feel you than it is with a recorded video, especially as the video is cut up, where you can see that all this humanity is cut off, right? Because this is live, and this is what I invite you to, right? The energy that you have here is the same energy we have with our clients, right? It's the same energy we have on the Q&A calls, the strategy calls. This is the energy, okay? It's not polished, it's not perfect, but this is the energy. So tomorrow when we talk about sales, you are inviting people to that energy. And if you have low energy throughout your content, it's going to be a struggle. That is why I say to you, pick the event that you want to do. Don't do something that you do not want to do, because it's going to show. So you can ask yourself, how can I lead this person that comes in here from having doubt and maybe be confused to a moment of truth where they say, this is exactly what I need, and you are the person that is going to help me get it. Because that is how you get an easy yeses. Okay. And then, of course, there is the sales process, and that is what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So the implementation paper, that is on page 7. So if you have that, otherwise you have notes, okay? So the 5 buying triggers, it's social proof, scarcity or urgency. I like the word urgency a little bit better. Reciprocity, okay? Authority, and emotional connection, okay? So I can add them in the Facebook group, actually, on a little a list, okay? So we talked about running the reps yesterday, and we also talked about that you go from being a little bit scared to start speaking from your heart, a little bit unstructured. So building out your content in small chunks is going to help you structure it. And then you start showing up very structured, and it's going to start converting even more. And then we're going to lean into full conviction, okay? But what I want you to understand is, as soon as you stand up and speak, people already see you as an expert. That is why people want to stand on TEDx stages, right? Because that is as soon as they stand up, we see them as experts. But it doesn't need to be perfect, okay? We have, for an example, Claire had never done an event before. She did a 3-day event, and she closed 17,000 in that event. Was it perfect? No, absolutely not. Right? We have Josephine here, for an example. She have done a lot of events over multiple years, and she relaunched a new offer, and she got, I think it was 16 clients. Was it perfect for a brand new offer? Absolutely. We even managed to upgrade the wrong Zoom. So only 100 people could join, and there was 600 leads, right? It wasn't perfect. It's never going to be really perfect, okay? It will never be perfect, and that is okay. You need to start, okay? And this is something we work with a lot inside of the Launch Academy, because mindset and believe in yourself and showing up, believing and showing up with energy, it takes some time and it can be very uncomfortable. And it's going to push you outside of the comfort zone. But I'm just going to say it, there is no growth in the comfort zone. You cannot scale staying comfortable, okay? You cannot stay in the comfort zone and grow and scale. It's not going to happen. So you need to step out of the comfort zone. That is why we work a lot with this, because it can be kind of a tough ride, right? So I want us to quickly just tie that back. Then I'm going to share about the Launch Academy quickly before I leave you with when it comes to signature event. That is why it's so important, because when you run same event again and again and again, the curve from being scared to conviction is going to go way faster. You're going to grow confident way faster. You are going to learn the content way faster. You're going to show up with higher energy way faster than if you try to start over every time. Trying kind of waking up and try to start over the same day, a new event. And it's exhausting. I'm just going to say it. Trying to do different things every single week, different new events, new invitations, new landing pages, new everything. Exhausting, because you're going to reuse everything. So from the entire cycle. So in the implementation, and I want you to share this even if you're not clear about the topic and things, share the date, because I want you to burn the bridge. I want you to pick a date when you're going to run your event, because that is how I know that you are not going to open the door when procrastination come and knock, because procrastination is going to come and knock on the door, and I don't want you to open. But I want you to think about the topic. I want you to think about what type of event that you want to run. I want you to start thinking about your event pillars. What are you going to teach inside? What are your event is, how it's going to be structured. You have your topic. How are you going to talk about this? Kind of structure it out, okay? Pick a date. Go to the community, share the date, okay? Because that is how we burn the bridge. That is how we burn the bridge. And I know that we are maybe going to do over time with 5 to 10 minutes, but we have just so we don't miss it, we have the 50 ways of promote your event. So if Josephine, you could share the link, click on that, download it, okay? Don't pick 50, just gonna say it. Don't pick 50, pick 3. 2 or 3 maximum, okay? Because it's gonna be a huge stress if you pick 50. It's gonna be exhausting, okay? And that is lead generation strategies. Lead generation strategies inside of that entire guide. And there's also a little bit about lead generation mindset and stuff like that that I have created, okay? And the second thing is to, I'm going to invite you and I'm going to share quickly about the Launch Academy, because this is the thing with building out a cycle. We talked about the cycle: runway, event, sales, and follow-up. It's a cycle. In the runway, we have different things. In the event, we have all the things that is inside the event. I'm now talking about emails, trackers, everything. And then we have the sales process. And then we have the following up and what we call debrief. And debrief is when we simply go back and look at what segments to improve. Very simplified, okay? But that shouldn't be a 6 or 12-month process. I'm just going to say it. You're not going to build an event and then you're going to launch that event in March in 2026, right? You're not going to wait until things are ready, or you're not going to wait until things are perfect, because we want clients now. And that, of course, gives us money in the bank. I said it yesterday, more money we make, the more clients we help, the more clients we help, the more money we make. But if you decide that I am going to wait until I'm ready, all the people out there that you could help are missing out on you. Don't make them wait for you. Okay, because there are a ton of money out there that need what you have if they only knew that you existed, right? So make sure that we do not wait. We're not going to waste any time here. We have Sarah, for an example, inside the Launch Academy. So what she did, and that is how the Launch Academy is built, is that we learn and build and execute on the same time. Okay, that might sound strange, but what I mean with that is that you create, for an example, lead generation content. The week after or 2 weeks after, you go out and start your lead generation content, even if your sales page isn't done yet. So you do it at the same time, which means you get instant validation of everything that you do. Because one big thing that people do, the problem people have, is that they build the entire thing. Okay, everything, all the offers, all their videos, everything. And then 5 months later, they go out and launch it, 0 sales. And they have spent month after month after month creating something that nobody said yes to. And that is a big kind of pitfall that people fall into when it comes to creating this. That is why the validation in real time is very valuable, and it's going to save you a massive amount of time. Okay. So the Launch Academy, the next cohort, that is why I wanted to share a little quick about it today. Start officially September 1st. And you could have your event up and running within a couple of weeks if you run on your own. But the thing with programs that I feel and that I have met with all my clients, and I have been doing this since 2020, helping people do event, but also I have had hundreds of clients inside building out events, is that what you want is to have something to follow step by step, to not spend time on things that doesn't matter, but also spend time on things that matters now, and never get stuck and never sit there and wonder, what should I do now? What is the next step? I don't know about you, but I bought a lot of programs where I got a massive amount of resources, but no guidance. So I was just sitting there thinking, oh, okay, I don't know what to do. I don't know what next. Where should I start? When is the next call? Okay, 4 weeks from now. I don't really know, that kind of thing. And that just makes people getting nowhere, because I know that the best way to get the result that you want is to have guidance, it's to have leadership, and it's to have a step-by-step process. So the Launch Academy is built kind of very different compared to a lot of programs. Okay, that is what I wanted to share with you today. So inside there is a massive amount of resources. You have everything. We have a huge portal with training, spreadsheet, templates for emails, landing pages, thank you pages, posts, content, slides, trackers, planners, everything, you name it, we got it. Okay, that is not the issue. Everything is there. And I mean, if you are comfortable enough, you can just dig in, run it, and then you have your event done in a couple of weeks, right? But for a lot of people, they want more. They want more white glove touch and guidance, what to do and when. So this is an accelerator where we work 12-week live. What I mean with that is that we have a strategy call where we go through the next step live. And it's of course recorded. So you don't need to be there live, but I run it live. So for an example, I'm going to share a little slide so you understand what I talk about. So for an example, one of the week we have clarity. I talked about that a lot. Then I go through clarity and I share exactly what you need to focus on inside of the resources to be able to make the clarity perfect. The week after, we meet for an implementation call where we usually do a little looking at your stuff, maybe your landing page or whatever that might be that you want help with, and Q&A. And then we move to the next step. That might be the framework. So we run a live training. We go through the framework, what trainings, what to do exactly. That means you never get lost and you can implement and do it at the same time. So I'm going to see here if I can manage to share. I'm just going to say it, this is not my strong side. As you see, I don't use any slides. I would say there might be a reason for that. because this is, let's see, share. This is, sorry, just gonna have it up here. Okay, let's see here. We're going to share this on present full. Yes, I hope everyone can see. So you understand exactly, since this looks different, there is a week that is not a 12-week, it's above the 12-week. We do a kickoff, we talk a little bit about mindset and stuff like that, what is going on, what do we need to do. Then we have week 1, we focus on clarity and optimization of profiles. This is the biggest thing, most important thing in everything, but especially running events. The week 2, we meet again for implementation. We might do some profile reviews and stuff like that, and all the questions that you might have, okay? Week 3, we go through the entire framework and structure. This is landing pages, this is the type event, the time, the date, all these things. Then you go in and work on that. We meet week 4 and implement and do some checking out your landing pages and stuff like that, and a Q&A. And then we move forward like this. We build the lead generation and visibility. We move on to sales and follow-up system and debrief and downsell, which means you will never get lost. You will have live step-by-step. And the funniest thing is this one. I'm going to share it quickly afterwards. You see, I have added a little firework. Week 6, we run the client spotlight, and I'm going to share with you in a moment what that is. And that is something I'm so excited about. But this is how it's built. So when you join, you might have the confidence enough and you can run on your own. You do not need to follow this because you have access to everything. You just run, right? You just follow step by step this on your own. But for everyone that wants this white glove, high touch, this is how we work, which means you are going to run your event around week 6 or 7. It's actually going to be live and you're going to get your clients. It's not like you're going to build all this and then you launch in 12 months from now. You can actually do this at the same time, if you want to, that we create it. So I hope that makes sense how I built this a little bit different, because I don't want anyone to get stuck not knowing what to do and when to do it, because that is one of the reasons people don't get any kind of result in programs, is that the program is good. We just don't know what to do. It's just too comprehensive. And a lot of us have very comprehensive programs. That is why this is built a little bit different. So we work in a group, right? So we start September 1st together, and then we work in this step by step to create it. All of it is live, okay? 12 weeks. But I also know that it's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of things that comes up. Maybe I don't know what to run my type event. I'm scared for showing up. I need some boost in my mindset and stuff, which means before your event, you have one-to-one session with me. Okay. So before you run your event live, we meet, you and me, and we go through whatever you need help with. It doesn't matter. Anything, energy, your offer, your content, it doesn't matter. Whatever you feel that you need an hour of my time together with you to go through, okay? Because I want you to succeed. If you succeed, I succeed, okay? If you win, I win. So I want your event to be as good as it possibly can. So that is something we do. The next step is afterwards. Oh my God, how do we do the debrief? How do we even know what to improve? I do have a video about that. We are going to do a live session, but you actually get a one-to-one with me where we go through your event. We go through your numbers, we go through your emails, we go through your energy of the entire event, and we decide together what segments to improve. And we set up a new plan for you for your next event, when you could run it, how it could look like, when the lead generation should start, together with me. So it's actually 2 one-to-one, okay? But then there is the client spotlight, and that is my, I just love it, okay? And this is where we, on week 6 of the Launch Academy, cohort 3, are gonna put all your landing pages, your businesses. I'm gonna show you the page, how it looked like last time. All your landing pages, your business, your social media thing, we run that to our audience. So we promote you to our audience. My audience and Josephine's together is 250,000 people. And inside of my own Facebook group, that is 17,000 people, you get personalized spotlights. So it's just you in a post, not everybody else. It's you, it's separate post. In my email to my list, that is 10,000, you also get that. So everyone gets in the email a personalized little spotlight, okay? And then we run it for the rest. It's all across social media. It's another group that I am in, that we have 200,000 members that we run it. So we promote your events because I want you to get as much visibility as you possibly can before you run your event. And for you who might feel, yeah, but I'm not ready to run my event. What do? We put up a wait list. And you get leads to your wait list for your event that you are not going to run now. So you can still join us, you can still build out your event and be in the client spotlight, because then we just built a wait list together. Okay, so don't worry about that, because that has happened to some people. They don't want to run their event now. They want to run it in December. No worries, we built a wait list. Okay. So we can share the link to join us for this 12 weeks, but we have 1 week before and 1 week after, because we have a celebration week. We need to celebrate you, right? And the investment to join is only $1,495. Okay, $1,495. So if we can share the link, Josephine, and you can also split the investment to 3 split investment of $545. Okay, so $1,495 for a one-time opportunity, or you split it up in 3 $545. Okay, and if you look at what you get for that investment is huge, because you get 2 one-to-one with me, you get a client spotlight for 250,000 people, you get live strategy and live support throughout. Okay, so this is not you join a monthly Q&A and you are left on your own, because I believe in support, I believe in leading people, I believe in being there. That is how we fast track to result. Okay, no more wasted time. Okay, but I want to I'm going to share just a little bit about the homework for tomorrow. I'm going to share the link to the client spotlight for anyone that wants to kind of see this, how it looks like on the page where we have the other client spotlight. So we have the link, but this is important. We close down on Friday midnight Eastern Standard Time. So Friday midnight Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to share more about it tomorrow, but I wanted you to see it. So make sure, do the implementation step, pick your topic, but most of all, even if you are not clear with your topic, you're not clear with your pillars, pick the date. Okay, pick the date. Burn the bridge, pick the date, go out and tell the world that I am going to do this. That is how it actually gets done. And you're not going to open the door for procrastination, because that is probably going to knock, because that is usually what happens. So I am going to just open the client spotlight here for anyone who wants to see how it looks like. It can be fun. Let's see. This sharing is like, yeah, come on. So this is the one we run in spring, because we didn't have a cohort in the middle of the summer. So this is the spring client spotlight. So here we have Sarah. So you get your logo, a little picture here. We have her bio, and we have the LinkedIn and Instagram here. You pick whatever links you want. And here there is a link to her workshop, Lead to Clients. And here we have, for example, Annika, the energy code. We have here Patricia, we have Eliza. So it's like this. And then in the Facebook group, my Facebook group, and in the email, you get this collected. So one post is only you. So it doesn't look like this inside of my community. So you get individual posts. So I just wanted to share that so you kind of understand when I say client spotlight, what it is. So now I'm going to try to stop share. Do we have any questions? You are running This event 3 weeks before your program starts. So we kick off so this is how it works. Do you need longer runway? So this is not the runway because this is the start of the program, right? So the runway is for this event. I have been doing lead generation for this event for 2 weeks, 14 days. And before that, I did 1 week where I really focused on visibility, connecting with people. So that is the runway. Then when you join the program, or if you invite people, we're going to talk about it tomorrow, to your offer, there is no runway. The reason why we start the 1st of September is we're going to have a kickoff call the week before. And for people that join next week, you are going to fill out a form where you're going to answer some questions so I can support you in the best way. Because that is the whole idea of the Launch Academy, is that it's very individual. Even if it's a group program, it's very high white glove individual touch. So you fill out a form about your offer, if you have done events, your size of your audience, all those kind of things that we do next week. But when you join, you have access to all the content right away. I think it's for 24 hours or something. Everything opens up so you could start. But the 12 weeks where we have the live trainings start September 1st. Yes. So yes, perfect, Gail. Oh, I ran over the time today with 15 minutes. I'm so sorry for that. But thank you. I think she means when you have a higher ticket, say, would you start? Yeah, so let's say I would offer you a $25,000 offer here. So the thing is that I might have wanted to do more, a bigger runway, maybe 3 weeks. That is totally depending. So come and join inside. Everyone that joins Launch Academy, we structure this together because it can look different. But if I would have a huge audience, a very engaged audience, I could do 5 days of lead generation for high ticket offer. So it's very depending, very individual. So there is no norm. I'm just going to say it, no norm. Okay. So it's very individual. I usually do 2 weeks of lead generation. I like 2 weeks. It's just something that I'm comfortable in doing. So I do 2 weeks for my events. So thank you so much, everyone. And I'm going to upload the recording, download the guide. Everybody, have everybody downloaded the guide? Because when we close this, it's gone. Okay, it's gone. And go and check out the Launch Academy. And then I will see you tomorrow. It's going to be all about sales. So we're going to talk about everything sales tomorrow inside of an event, different kind of bridges and things like that. And make sure you do the implementation steps. Okay. So thank you, everyone. And I will see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye. Thank you, Elizabeth.